The World Health Organization says 5 million people there could lose access to life-saving services due to those cuts. Babies have starved to death as soup kitchens supported by the U.S. were forced to close.
These were expenditures that we don't agree with.
Which ones did you not like from the Biden administration?
There's
Which
LGBTQ stuff.
I want to hop into a couple clips from a CNN panel covering the disastrous effects we're seeing from Trump's reckless gutting of different government programs, with USAID having now fatal consequences in Sudan. So leave us a like on the video if you can. It gives us a boost in the algorithm. It lets us know you enjoy the content, and let's see what context we can add to the discussion.
President Trump's gutting of USAID last day, and George W. Bush is echoing the criticism as well. This comes as the Washington Post reports that the cuts have already had a sudden, deadly impact on Sudan, the home to the world's largest humanitarian crisis. The Post is reporting that according to dozens of civilians, doctors and aid officials, babies have starved to death as soup kitchens supported by the U.S. were forced to close. Also, medical supplies are no longer even being delivered, and the absence of disease response teams has made it harder to contain outbreaks. The World Health Organization says 5 million people there could lose access to life-saving services due to those cuts, as millions are fleeing their homes. In a tribute video to the agency, President Bush pointed out that the 2.25 million lives that the program has saved from HIV and AIDS, and he said that the USAID program showed the greatest strength of America.
And this is why I always say pro-life is such a bullshit way to describe these clowns. Not a single one of them actually hold that principle. They'd all rather a couple extra dollars on their paychecks than programs like this exist, which have saved millions of lives and offers critical care to those experiencing crises. Trump should never purport to care about genocide again like he did when he was expediting white refugees, as an excuse, of course, because he's literally cutting off aid to Sudan here, somewhere that is recognizing a genocide by the U.S. government. It has recognized that. The conditions on the ground are absolutely horrendous. Every human rights organization recognizes that. Aid to there has saved millions, stopped disease, and helped food and water reach those who need it the most, where there is a downstream effect as well. If disease is more rampant, that increases the travel risk. Imagine this. Say a doctor goes there to work in Sudan, whether from America or another country, but then comes to America carrying a disease that we've all but eradicated. You can see how this could become a problem really quickly.
Babies dying of starvation, of preventable diseases, of scorpion bites.
America's interests, I believe, are best served with a mix of hard power, which is military deterrence and economic coercion if it's necessary, and soft power,
correct,
which is diplomacy and development. In this case, development being dollars spent smartly. The Biden administration believed in dumb power, and they made some financially poor decisions. And unfortunately, this administration took the mismanagement of the previous administration and decided to just cut it all out, rather than say, okay, these were expenditures that we don't agree with.
Which ones did you not like from the Biden administration?
There's LGBTQ stuff and all this other stuff.
What does that have to do with USAID?
You don't have one in particular that jumps out to you.
I'm so glad he asked that, because I wanted to make this point, and we're locked in here. Notice how vague this Republican is being. Oh, Biden did bad stuff. What Biden did bad, Trump do good things. He fixed it. Okay, well, what's the specific stuff? Right to the buzzwords is what it always is. LGBTQ, DEI, affirmative action. He couldn't name anything, though. This man has no idea what he's even talking about, but he's trying to hold a principled opinion. I wrote an article. It's the first link in my description. Will take you to the website. You have to find the one about USAID, but it debunks all the lies Republicans have told about USAID spending. None of them hold merit. It's one of the better programs that has ever existed in terms of what I believe America's place in the world should be. And Republicans have long tried to dismantle it, largely for entirely selfish reasons, because again, they're fine with kids dying as long as it's brown, Sudanese, or Yemeni children, as they'd rather a few extra bucks when they get paid than that. But pro-life when it comes to controlling women, guys.
It's this fundamental humanity that is absent from Elon Musk and President Trump in cutting USAID to this point. And then one of the things that I think frustrates me more than anything is when you have individuals who at one point cut USAID and they champion it and they raise their hand and run around and jump up and down, and in the next quote they're quoting Bible scripture. And the hypocrisy of it is astounding to me. But even more importantly, I think that this is one of the largest foreign policy blunders that we've made as a country in a very long period of time. Because what happens when we leave, that soft power leaves these regions? We're talking about North Africa and Egypt, right? We're talking about Sudan. We're talking about these places. It doesn't just go away. What happens is our adversaries, China, Russia, Iran, they go in and fill these voids. Right? They utilize that soft power. And so, yeah, particularly in Africa where we have withdrawn because of Elon Musk. China is in Africa right now developing soft power. You have terrorist organizations in Africa right now providing those resources, and then you're just going to say, oh, I just like the images of little black and brown babies that are starving to death.
Bakari is bang on here. The effects are multiplicative, and you shouldn't want to give up any advantage that exists in the region, as the long play here is essentially you give aid to these countries, you turn them into allies, you build them up economically, and then eventually they become trade partners. They become military allies. Rather than a burden, they become a benefit to your economy, where if we give this up, China steps in, Russia steps in, or even worse, a power vacuum could be created in which terrorist factions rise out of, right? And I mean, we've seen this play out historically, and also you could see how then geopolitically we lose positioning in the world. So even for only entirely selfish reasons, preserving USAID is the right thing to do. Our exports helped pull us out of both of our last two recessions. USAID builds up our exports. It's clearly a net benefit. It's also clearly the correct moral thing. Never let MAGA tell you they're pro-life again. It's so clearly that they're just anti-women, because pro-life means pro-all life. It means pro-Sudanese life, pro-Yemeni life, right? And yet they'd rather save taxpayer dollars than to save Yemeni lives.